Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the special subgroup on the 12th of January 2021. Good evening, members. Good evening, officers.
Good evening.
Agenda item 1, apologies for absence, members away on official council duty. Mr. Maxey?
There have been no apologies.
No apologies. Thank you. Disclosure of pecuniary and non-pecuniary interests. Members?
You'll have to wait.
Right. Go to our item agenda 4. The report is the work done to summarise by the Human Resources team in 2021. It provides details of the sickness levels for the period of April 2020 to September 2020 and provides some further information on action taken in the managing absence. Members, any questions? Can't see no hands. Councillor Jens?
Thank you, Chair. I was just wondering, in terms of the absence figures, how they've been impacted by COVID.
I didn't catch that at all.
Sorry, do you want me to repeat that, Chair?
Yes, please.
I was just wondering, in terms of the absence figures, how they've been impacted by COVID, by the COVID epidemic. Did you hear that?
Kerry, would you like to answer that?
Hello, yes. As appendices to the report, and as detailed in the report, the period of April to September 2020, in comparison to the same period last year, the sickness per FTE is slightly up, 5.96 FTE days per employee in comparison to last year. And the breakdown of that is actually there's been a decrease in short-term absence, down to 1.18 in comparison to 2.30 for the previous year's comparison. I would say that the short-term sickness absence, with regards to during the pandemic, actually that's decreased, and that's, you know, there's a lot of information in the HR community that actually remote working does help facilitate people being able to work more so in terms of short-term absences. The flexibility with regards to remote working does help that, and I think that is reflected in our figures. The long-term absence, that has actually increased, but I would say that that isn't related to COVID specifically. You can see in Appendix B the days lost due to coronavirus in terms of sickness absence due to coronavirus is 92.42 days. Days absence lost. Now that is where somebody is symptomatic and it's been logged as symptoms due to coronavirus. Obviously there has been absence that has been non-symptomatic absence, so where people have had to self-isolate, but that obviously isn't on the sickness figures. The majority of the long-term sickness absence is in relation to mental ill health and musculoskeletal absences. And that is one thing within the department and within the organisation as a whole that the council's management team and the human resources department, we've been very keen on making sure that we've got adequate communication to employees with regards to the support services available for, you know, if anyone's suffering from any mental ill health issues. The council does have, obviously, the council would signpost people to appropriate mental health support services, and the council does have its counselling service available. So there has been some impact, obviously, in terms of COVID-19, but the actual sickness in relation to that logged as that isn't too high, the 92 days, you know, but we are mindful that some of the absences for other reasons, as mentioned, mental ill health predominantly, will be generally related, you know, to potentially some issues that may have been compounded by the pandemic. In regards to mental ill health, just in terms of a breakdown for that, the absences in relation to mental ill health have been predominantly due to personal stress. There's only been one occasion of stress at work out of any of the absences in relation to mental ill health. So personal stress may be due to issues such as bereavement, relationship issues, etc. But we do have support services available to help employees in that regard for mental ill health.
Thank you, Kerry.
Thank
I
you.
believe that's one of the questions that I asked you the other day, and you answered all mine.
Yeah,
I think it's
thank you
about
for that. Thank you,
Councillor Jens, did you want to come back on that?
Sorry, just to thank you for the answer, and you've answered my follow-up question, which was about the sort of shift from short-term to long-term absence. So overall, the figures are very similar, but there's been that change in short-term and long-term. But thank you for the answer.
Councillor Parsons, I believe you had your hand up, but took it down again. Did you? Oh, your hand is up.
Indeed, I was
Councillor
looking at the wrong.
Parsons.
I put it up because I do want to ask a question, if I may.
Okay, thank you.
Right, evening, Kerry. Just looking at this, in terms of the mental health aspect, have we any information on how home working is impacting on this? I mean, I think often home working is seen as a favourable, but it sometimes can lead to pressures piling up on people, especially when they've got children or not the ideal work situation sort of thing. Have you any evidence on that at all?
One thing I can go into a bit of detail on that is it is mentioned in the report. One of the areas of work that we have done during the pandemic was we did actually undertake a staff survey in relation to elements during COVID-19, and actually we did have a good response rate to that survey. It was a 52% response rate, and there was 38 questions in total that were in relation to the council's approach to the pandemic. I've just got it in front of me. I'm just having a look at some of the responses to that. But specifically in relation to the question posed, one of the questions asked in the survey was, the council is supporting me during COVID-19, and 92.8% of respondents agreed or strongly agreed with that question. So one thing I would say is, in relation to any issues and concerns employees have had, they have felt that they have been supported. We had 96% of respondents that said they would recommend the council as a good place to work. From my perspective as a department, I think, as detailed in the report, there's been a lot of communication to employees on, the ever-changing government guidelines and the changes to any procedures at work, etc. Safe working practices, etc. That I think that's one of the key things, is communicating to the staff to try and alleviate any anxiety people may have about the unknown. There's various other questions on the survey in the sense of the leadership from the council during COVID-19, and again, very high response rates to that. 92.8% of respondents agreed or strongly agreed that they've had effective leadership during COVID-19. 93% of people believing the council adapted quickly to the changing working conditions, etc. So I think that the overall very positive responses from the survey, highlights, that the council employees, overall have felt supported during COVID-19.
Yeah, I think those are very good results that council leaders can be justifiably proud of. That's good stuff. Thank you.
And and that was just a couple of examples. There was numerous questions, and like I said, overall it was very pleasing to see such positive responses.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah.
Chair, sorry, you're on mute.
I'd just like to say thank you to all the officers that work with any of our staff here at North Warwickshire Borough Council. So if that they feel comfortable all the way along from councillors to officers, I think that's a big boost for us. Well, it is for me as a councillor to know that we've got a good working ethic here in North Warwickshire Borough Council. Any other questions? No. Well, I'd like to propose from the chair then that we take the recommendation. Have I got a seconder?
I'll second that, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Parsons. Mr. Maxey?
Chairman, this is one of those ones where we
You
said
don't?
that
Okay.
unless anybody calls for a vote, as it's a noting only report, so unless anybody wishes to have a vote, then that can go through on the nod, as it were. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll take that as it is, unless anybody wishes to say anything different. Thank you very much. Agenda item 5, report from the Corporate Director Resources, structure of the internal audit section. Members? Any questions? Can't see any hands. I'd like to propose from the chair then that we accept this recommendation from the board. Have I got a seconder? Thanks, Councillor Jens. Mr. Maxey?
Okay, I'll move to the vote. Thank you. Councillor Clues,
4.
Councillor Farrow,
4.
thank you. Councillor Hayfield,
4.
Councillor Jens,
4.
Councillor Parsons,
4.
and Councillor Smith.
4.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, members. So we're going to agenda item number 6, to consider whether in accordance with section 100A4 of the Local Government Act 1972, the public and press be excluded from the meeting for the following items of business on the grounds that they involve the likely disclosure of exempt information as defined by Schedule 12A to the Act. We've got to vote on this. I'd like to propose from the chair that we accept this.
Seconded, Madam Chair. Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Councillor Smith.
Move to the vote, sir. Councillor Clues,
4.
Councillor Farrow,
4.
thank you. Councillor Hayfield,
4.
thank you. Councillor Jens,
4.
Councillor Parsons,
4.
and Councillor Smith.
4.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, members. Just wait.